By the last minute of this story, a single grandmother's masterstroke will leave you gasping, and every mother who listens will rethink trust and family forever. Before we dive in, sneak into the like button's kitchen and steal a cookie. Don't worry, she loves surprise guests. Subscribe now so you never miss the next family twist. It all began when a devoted daughter discovered her own mom was plotting to steal not just her savings but her second chance at life. It started like any other peaceful Sunday in Portland. The rain had finally given the cedar deck that soft silver sheen Claire Whitmore loved. The air smelled of pine and fresh coffee. From the kitchen, the hiss of the espresso machine mingled with her daughter Evelyn's laughter as she chased the family dog across the living room. Claire, 38, widowed 3 years now, had been savoring these calm moments. She'd rebuilt her life after her husband's sudden heart attack. A stable job as a cardiac nurse, a modest but cheerful 2-story house, and a college fund that, with luck and discipline, might see Evelyn through medical school one day. Family, security, and a second chance at happiness. That was Claire's quiet dream. At precisely 10:30, the doorbell chimed. "Grandma's here." Evelyn squealed, sliding across the hardwood in wool socks. Claire smiled. Her mother, Martha, was rarely late. At 62, Martha still carried herself with the brisk charm of a retired real estate agent. Tailored trench coat, lipstick perfect, perfume just a hint too floral. She stepped inside with the confidence of someone who believed every room belonged to her. "Morning, honey," Martha said, wrapping Claire in a perfumed hug. "I brought cinnamon scones, your favorite." "Perfect," Claire replied. "Coffee's ready." The three of them settled into the kitchen nook, the smell of butter and cinnamon filling the air. Rain tapped a gentle rhythm against the windows. It should have been the kind of morning families cherish and remember. But almost immediately, Claire sensed something different. Martha's questions came a little too sharp, her gaze a little too calculating. "So," Martha began, slicing a scone with surgical precision, "have you thought any more about refinancing the house? Interest rates might climb again. You don't want to miss the window." Claire blinked. "I'm comfortable with the mortgage as it is." "Comfortable isn't safe," Martha countered. "And that insurance payout from Daniel, you're not just letting it sit in the bank, are you?" A familiar ache passed through Claire at the mention of her late husband. She set down her coffee cup. "The funds are invested conservatively. Evelyn's college is covered." "That's good," Martha said quickly, almost too quickly. "But you know, sometimes money grows better when it's combined. For tax benefits." Claire forced a polite smile. "Thanks, Mom. I've got it handled." Evelyn looked between them, sensing tension. "Grandma, can we play cards after brunch?" "Of course, sweetheart," Martha said, brightening as if nothing had passed. Still, Claire's pulse had quickened. Her mother had never been shy about finances, but today the conversation felt pointed, like an audit disguised as small talk. After brunch, Claire began clearing plates while Evelyn went upstairs to start homework. Martha lingered, scrolling her phone beneath the kitchen pendant light. Every so often, she tilted the screen just out of view. Once, when she set the phone down to refill her coffee, a notification banner lit up. "Bank papers ready." Sign without her knowing. Claire's breath caught. She almost dropped the plate in her hand. She read the words twice, making sure her eyes weren't playing tricks. Sign without her knowing. Before she could react, Martha scooped up the phone with a too bright smile. "I'll help with the dishes." Claire forced her voice steady. "It's okay. Relax with Evelyn." But her mind was racing. Bank papers. Sign without her knowing. Who would send a message like that to her mother? That evening, after Martha left, Claire retreated to her office nook under the stairs. She pulled up her online banking dashboard. Nothing seemed amiss. No withdrawals, no new joint accounts. Still, an unease clung to her like damp fog. At 9:47 p.m., her phone buzzed. It was a text from Alan Pierce, the family attorney who had handled Daniel's life insurance trust. "Claire, just confirming that your mother updated the trust documents today. She said you asked her to handle them. Do you still want tomorrow's meeting?" Claire's stomach turned cold. She hadn't asked her mother to do anything of the sort. And tomorrow's meeting. She had no idea what Alan was talking about. She typed a quick reply. "I never authorized changes. Please call me first thing." Her hands trembled as she set the phone down. For years she had trusted Martha to babysit Evelyn, to give gentle advice. Never, not once, had she imagined her own mother might tamper with legal papers tied to their home and future. The next day, Claire tried to focus on work at St. Vincent's Medical Center, but unease shadowed every heartbeat she listened to, every blood pressure she checked. When she finally took a break, there were 3 missed calls from Alan. She called back immediately. "Claire," Alan said, voice tight, "your mother came in yesterday with a notarized letter giving her partial authority over your property trust. She presented what appeared to be your signature. I found it odd and wanted to double-check." "My signature?" Claire gripped the phone. "I never signed anything." "That's what I needed to hear," Alan said. "Legally, nothing's final until I speak with you, but the paperwork looked authentic. We need to meet." A cold, deliberate dread settled over her. Someone had forged her name. Someone she loved. That evening she and Evelyn ate a silent dinner. Rain lashed the windows, and the cozy house felt suddenly like a fragile shell. Claire debated whether to share everything with her teenage daughter. But Evelyn, sharp-eyed and intuitive, already sensed the storm. "Mom," she said quietly, "why do you keep checking your phone? Is Grandma okay?" Claire exhaled. "Sweetheart, Grandma might have done something with our house papers. I'm not sure yet." Evelyn frowned. "Like what?" "I don't know. But I promise I'll fix it." Evelyn reached across the table, squeezing her mother's hand. "We'll fix it. Together." That single word, together, lit a small but fierce flame in Claire's chest. Late that night, while Evelyn slept, Claire sat at her oak desk with a stack of documents. She compared signatures from old medical consent forms to the copy Alan had sent. Her stomach tightened. The forged signature looked disturbingly accurate, almost as if someone had practiced her name for weeks. The house was quiet except for the steady rain. At 12:13 a.m., Claire's phone vibrated again. Voicemail. From her mother. She pressed play. "Claire, it's Mom. I need you to trust me. Don't make tomorrow harder than it has to be. Everything I'm doing is for your security. You'll see." The message ended with a soft click. Claire sat frozen. Tomorrow. What was happening tomorrow? In the dark, she made a silent vow. Whatever her mother was planning, she would not let it destroy the life she had rebuilt. The first cracks in a lifetime of trust had opened wide, and neither mother nor daughter could yet see how deep the fissure went. By 8 o'clock she was in her small home office, papers spread across the desk like a storm chart. A pot of coffee steamed beside her laptop. She dialed Alan Pierce, the family attorney, on speaker. Alan's voice crackled through. "Claire, I've reviewed the documents your mother submitted. They include a quitclaim deed giving her partial ownership of your property. If recorded, it would give her the right to sell without your approval." Claire gripped the edge of the desk. "How is that possible? I never signed anything." She presented a notarized letter, Alan said, his tone measured. The signature is convincing, but there are inconsistencies. We need to act before it's filed with the county. A flash of anger cut through Claire's fatigue. Her own mother forging her name. What's the next step? I'll prepare an injunction, Alan said. But keep everything quiet until we meet. Surprises work both ways. Claire ended the call with a deep breath that felt too heavy for her lungs. That afternoon she drove Evelyn to school in silence. Her daughter finally asked, "Is Grandma in trouble?" Claire hesitated. "Maybe. But remember what we promised. Together." Evelyn nodded, a spark of determination in her eyes. Together. As soon as Evelyn disappeared through the school doors, Claire turned the car toward downtown. The drizzle had thickened into a persistent mist, blurring the skyline. She parked outside River and Finch Title Office, a place she had barely noticed before yesterday. Inside, the clerk recognized her name at once. "Mrs. Whitmore, we just processed preliminary paperwork for a joint ownership update," the clerk said. "Your mother said you'd sign later today." Claire's pulse pounded. Nothing gets recorded. Not a single paper. I never approved this. The clerk's eyes widened. Understood. I'll put a hold on the file. Back home, Claire sifted through her late husband Daniel's meticulously kept folders. Insurance policies, mortgage schedules, savings bonds. Daniel had trusted paper more than the cloud. As she reviewed line after line, something caught her eye. A home equity loan inquiry dated just a week ago. Not in her handwriting. And not requested by her. The realization landed like a weight. Someone had been digging into every corner of her financial life. That evening she prepared dinner mechanically. Salmon, rice, steamed vegetables. Barely tasting a bite. Evelyn studied at the kitchen island, glancing up now and then. Finally Evelyn spoke. "Mom, I heard Grandma last night. She called someone named Victor." She said, "Victor, the papers are almost ready. Once Claire signs, we're set." Claire's fork froze midway. "You heard her." Evelyn nodded. "I pretended to sleep." Victor. The name echoed like a warning bell. Determined to know more, Claire asked Alan to dig deeper. Within an hour he called back. "There's a Victor Hale," he said. "Real estate speculator. History of pressuring homeowners into quick sales. Several civil complaints, no convictions. He often uses relatives to gain trust." The pieces slid into a grim pattern. Her mother's sudden interest in refinancing, the mysterious text, forged papers. Victor was the common thread. That night, Claire sat on the couch long after Evelyn had gone to bed. Outside, wind rattled the eaves, and the house felt like a fragile ship in rough seas. She called her trusted neighbor Mr. Daniels, a retired cybersecurity expert and widower who had often helped with minor tech issues. "Mr. Daniels, I think my mother's trying to take my house," she said bluntly. He didn't laugh. "Then we need proof," he said. "Real proof. Cameras, audio, time stamps." By midnight they had installed 2 discrete cameras, one facing the front door, another covering the kitchen where most conversations happened. Daniels also showed her how to back up recordings directly to an encrypted cloud folder. "If someone tries to erase it, you'll still have a copy," he explained. The next morning brought a temporary calm. Claire dropped Evelyn at school, then met Alan at his office. He laid out a strategy, an emergency injunction to freeze property transfers, and a request to flag her signature with the county recorder. "If they try to file anything, we'll know instantly," Alan assured her. Still, Claire couldn't shake the dread. Her phone buzzed mid-meeting. "Mom." She answered carefully. Hi, Mom. Martha's voice was bright but brittle. Sweetheart, I'm dropping by later. There's something important we should settle. Claire forced warmth. Sure. I'll be home. When she ended the call, Alan raised an eyebrow. Be ready, he said. Keep those cameras rolling. By late afternoon, gray clouds had thickened, swallowing what little daylight remained. Claire brewed chamomile tea but left it untouched. At 6 o'clock sharp, the doorbell rang. Martha swept in with her usual dramatic flair, red scarf, confident smile, but her eyes darted nervously around the room. Evening, honey, she said. We need to talk. They sat in the kitchen. Rain drummed against the roof like a distant snare. I want you to sign some papers, Martha began. They'll help with taxes and protect Evelyn's future. It's simple. Claire kept her tone calm. What kind of papers? Just a joint ownership adjustment, Martha said lightly. It'll make estate planning easier. Claire folded her hands. Mom, I never asked for that. Martha's smile tightened. Sometimes mothers have to make decisions their children don't understand. Something inside Claire hardened. Not with forged signatures. Martha's breath caught. For a flicker of a second, her composure cracked. I don't know what you mean, she stammered. Claire stood, her chair scraping the tile. I know about Victor Hale. I know about the quitclaim deed. And I know you pretended to sign for me. Martha's face drained of color. Who told you? Before she could finish, Claire held up her phone. A small red light blinked. The kitchen camera live-streaming straight to Alan's secure folder. This is being recorded, Claire said evenly. Tell me the truth. For a long moment, only the sound of rain filled the room. Finally, Martha sank back, eyes glistening. I was trying to save us, she whispered. Victor said if we moved fast, we could clear my debts and double the value of the house. Your debts? Claire echoed. Martha covered her face. I made some bad investments. I thought I could fix everything before you noticed. Claire's heart ached with a complicated mix of fury and sorrow. By stealing my home. Martha's tears slipped through her fingers. I never meant to hurt you. I just panicked. Claire's phone buzzed again. A new message from an unknown number. Victor Hale. Finish the deal tonight or I'll handle it myself. She turned the screen so Martha could see. Is this your friend? Martha nodded weakly. Claire tapped out a quick reply. Come by if you need to talk. We'll be here. If Victor was coming, she wanted witnesses and evidence. An hour passed. The rain softened to a mist, then stopped. At 9:15 p.m., a dark sedan rolled up the driveway. Victor Hale emerged, tall and sharply dressed, carrying a leather briefcase. Mr. Daniels, watching the security feed next door, texted, Cameras are live. Audio clear. Claire opened the door with steady calm. Mr. Hale, come in. Victor offered a too bright smile. Claire, pleasure. Let's finalize things. They sat at the kitchen table. Claire, Martha, Victor. Papers slid across the polished wood. Victor pointed with a sleek pen. Just need your signature. Claire met his gaze. This is illegal. You presented forged documents. Victor's smile faltered. Now let's not play games. Claire pressed a hidden button under the table. A small click confirmed the second camera was live-streaming to Alan and, as a backup, to Daniels. Games, she said evenly. You're already on record. Victor's eyes narrowed. Think you're clever. Without another word, he snatched the papers and bolted for the door. But as he reached the driveway, flashing blue lights filled the night. Two patrol cars boxed him in. Mr. Daniels stepped out from the shadows, phone in hand. Police have been watching the feed. They'll take it from here, he called. Inside, Martha collapsed into a chair, sobbing. I only wanted to fix my mistakes, she whispered. Claire's anger wavered, but not her resolve. You almost destroyed our home, she said softly. This stops now. Martha nodded, tears streaking her cheeks. I understand. That night, after the police left with Victor in custody, Claire sat with Evelyn in the quiet living room. The teenager clung to her mother, eyes wide. Is it over? Evelyn asked. For tonight, Claire said, kissing her daughter's forehead. But we have more to protect. Outside, the rain began again. Gentle, steady, like a slow applause for courage found in the darkest hour. The morning after Victor Hale's arrest, Claire Whitmore woke to a house that felt eerily calm. Outside, Portland's maples dripped with last night's rain, and a soft gray light seeped through the curtains. But the quiet didn't soothe her. It pulsed like a pause before the next storm. Martha sat at the kitchen table, hands wrapped around a cold mug of tea. Her once perfect hair was pulled back loosely, silver strands escaping like frayed threads of confidence. Morning, Claire said cautiously. Martha didn't look up. I barely slept. Neither had Claire. Her mind replayed Victor's angry face as police led him away. Would he retaliate? Were there more forged papers hidden somewhere? She couldn't afford guesswork. Not with Evelyn's future on the line. By mid-morning, Claire called Alan Pierce on speaker. Victor spent the night in county lockup, Alan reported. He's facing fraud and forgery charges. But his attorney will push hard. We need airtight evidence. Claire glanced at the discreet camera still blinking above the pantry door. Everything is on video. Alan's tone softened. Good. But we also need to lock down the trust permanently. I recommend a new family structure. Ironclad. Martha flinched at the word family. Claire caught it and, for a heartbeat, almost softened. Almost. I'll come to your office this afternoon, Claire said. After she hung up, Martha finally spoke. I'll do whatever you say, she whispered. I just don't want to lose you. Claire held her mother's gaze. Then be completely honest. No more surprises. Martha nodded, eyes brimming. At Alan's office, the truth unraveled like a long-hidden wire. Martha admitted to a web of gambling debts stretching back years. Private loans, maxed-out credit cards, a shadowy second mortgage she had taken in Claire's name and managed to keep off major credit reports. I thought I could pay it back with one good investment, Martha said, voice shaking. Victor promised quick profit if I brought him a house he could flip clean. Alan's brow tightened. That's textbook equity fraud. We'll present this to the DA. Claire clenched her hands, willing herself not to explode. She'd lost her husband suddenly. Now she'd nearly lost her home to her own mother's desperation. Alan slid a thick packet across the desk. This is a petition for an emergency family trust. Sign here, and only Evelyn and you will have controlling interest. Claire signed. Martha, after a trembling pause, signed as witness. It was the first real step toward safety. That night, Claire and Evelyn tried to reclaim normal life. Pizza, a light movie. But at 10:23 p.m., Claire's phone buzzed with an unknown number. You think cameras stop me? Paper trails run deep. Victor. Claire forwarded the message to Alan and the police. Mr. Daniels, their watchful neighbor, checked the camera feeds. No sign of anyone, he reported. But keep lights on and doors locked. The unease returned, sharp as broken glass. Evelyn asked the question Claire dreaded. Will Victor come back? Claire hugged her daughter tightly. He wants us scared. We won't give him that. Still, she set her phone to record every call and armed the extra deadbolt. The next morning, Martha asked for a private talk. They sat on the back porch, a soft drizzle misting the air. I called Victor's lawyer, Martha confessed. I told them I'd testify against him. Claire blinked. Why? Because I finally see what I almost destroyed, Martha said. Ooh. Evelyn. Family name. I'll face the court. I'll tell them everything. How he coached me to forge your signature. How he promised to erase my debts. Claire searched her mother's face. For the first time in weeks, there was no guile, only weary honesty. Mom, she said quietly, testifying might save more than just us. It could stop him from hurting other families. Martha's lips trembled. That's what I hope. It wasn't forgiveness yet. But it was a beginning. 2 weeks later, the Multnomah County Courthouse buzzed with reporters. Victor Hale, immaculate in a navy suit, entered with a smirk that barely hid his tension. Claire sat between Alan and Martha, Evelyn beside her with quiet strength. The prosecution played the kitchen recordings, every word clear. Victor pressuring, Martha confessing. The forged quitclaim deed, the falsified mortgage inquiries, all displayed on a glowing screen. Victor's attorney tried to discredit the footage, claiming entrapment. Alan countered sharply. This was a homeowner protecting her property from ongoing fraud. Oregon law is explicit. Then Martha took the stand. Hands steady, voice firm, she recounted everything, from her first debt to Victor's final threats. At one point she turned toward Claire and Evelyn. I betrayed their trust, she said, tears streaking her cheeks. But I will not betray them again. A hush filled the courtroom. Victor's smirk finally cracked. After hours of testimony, the judge ruled. Victor Hale guilty on multiple counts of fraud, forgery, and attempted extortion. He was led away in handcuffs. His confident stride replaced by a defeated shuffle. But the day wasn't over. The judge turned to Martha. You admit to forgery and attempted fraud. Normally this would mean sentencing. However, given your cooperation and the absence of personal gain, I'm granting probation with mandatory financial counseling and restitution. Martha wept openly, clasping Claire's hand. Should have felt like closure. Yet Claire sensed one more thread still loose. That evening, while reviewing Victor's seized documents with Alan, a startling discovery emerged. A second quitclaim deed. This one not just giving Martha partial ownership, but transferring full title to an anonymous LLC in Nevada. Alan whistled low. He planned a backup theft. If we hadn't stopped him, the house might have been sold in days. Claire felt a shiver of delayed terror. Can we cancel it? It was never notarized, Alan said. But finding it seals the case and guarantees no future claim. Claire exhaled a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. Then we're finally safe. Back home, Claire gathered Evelyn and Martha in the living room. Firelight softened the room, warming even the old photographs on the mantel. I've created a legacy trust, Claire announced. It secures this home and every account for Evelyn's future. Only she can change it when she's grown. Evelyn's eyes sparkled. Like a family vault. Exactly, Claire said. Something no scammer can ever touch. Martha touched her daughter's hand. I'll contribute everything I can. My pension, whatever is left after debts. I want to help rebuild. Claire studied her mother. The wounds of betrayal were still fresh, but she could see genuine resolve in Martha's tired eyes. We start over, Claire said softly. But on truth this time. Martha nodded. On truth. As midnight neared, the 3 generations of Whitmore women shared tea in the softly lit kitchen. Rain tapped the windows, a gentler sound now, almost like applause. Claire reflected on the whirlwind. Forged deeds, courtroom battles, a mother's confession. The scars would remain, but so would the lessons. She looked at Evelyn. Remember this, sweetheart. Real security isn't in houses or accounts. It's in knowing when to fight, when to forgive, and how to protect what matters. Evelyn smiled, her teenage eyes wise beyond their years. I'll never forget. Spring arrived in Portland with a soft burst of pink cherry blossoms. For the first time in months, Claire Whitmore felt the air in her chest loosen. The nightmare of forged deeds and courtroom drama was behind her, yet a quiet question remained. What now? Inside the Whitmore home, the morning light fell on a kitchen that had seen betrayal, confession, and courage. Claire set out mugs for tea, waiting for her mother to arrive. Today wasn't about lawyers or police. Today was about something harder, true repair. At precisely 9 o'clock, Martha stepped through the back door. Gone was the flashy scarf and overbright perfume. Instead she wore simple jeans, her silver hair pulled neatly back. There was a humility in her posture, and, Claire noticed, a steadiness in her eyes. I started the financial recovery program, Martha said, slipping off her coat. Budgeting, counseling, everything. I've already made my first restitution payment. Claire poured the tea. That's a start. Martha hesitated. I know trust isn't rebuilt with receipts. I'd like to show you something. She placed a small folder on the table. Inside were notarized forms naming Claire and Evelyn sole heirs to Martha's modest pension and savings. A handwritten letter lay on top. To my daughter and granddaughter. I took from you in fear. I give back in faith. This is the only legacy worth leaving. Honesty. Claire's throat tightened. For weeks she had prayed not for revenge, but for a sign that her mother had truly changed. This, she thought, might be it. By summer, the story that had nearly destroyed them began to heal others. Martha volunteered at a senior financial fraud helpline, guiding retirees who faced scams like Victor Hale's. She spoke at libraries and churches, her voice both warning and gentle confession. I once believed desperation justified deception, she told one group. But truth saved my family and me. If Claire's journey of betrayal, justice, and forgiveness opened your eyes, don't let it stop here. Share this story to protect another family's home and heart.